Welcome to Gentle Yoga. My name is Katherine. Thanks for joining. Today we're going to need a belt, a block, a chair, and a towel or a blanket. And of course, if you don't have any of these items, maybe something that can function as these items. When you're ready, we're going to start on the floor in reclined cobbler's pose. Have your block and your strap kind of close to the mat. So we got our soles of our feet together, the knees fall open wide. If you come into this position and it feels like the knees are just like having the knees just swinging open, feels kind of too intense on the pelvis or the groin, having your blanket would be helpful. You could fold up your blanket or towel into kind of a long noodle and then drape it on top of the feet and then tuck it underneath the ankles. And it kind of just supports the knees from swinging up and too wide prematurely. Bring the hands either to your belly or to the floor, and feel free to close your eyes or blur your gaze and just kind of check in with yourself, seeing how you're doing right now, physically, emotionally. And if you have noticed anything pleasurable, take a couple breaths just breathing in the pleasure. And if you've noticed anything that is not pleasurable, something maybe that you're feeling a tightness, an ache, I invite you to bring your hands to rest on your heart. And imagine you could take a few breaths just breathing in some kindness for yourself. So maybe breathing in ease or breathing in joy, giving yourself something good on the in-breath. Good, and then go ahead and slowly help the knees together with the hands. Removing the blanket if you used it. So now the feet are on the floor, the thighs resting against each other. Just take a moment to notice the rhythm and pace of your breath. And with the next exhale, completely evacuate your lungs until you feel almost like a slight little kind of cramp in the lungs, or uh, you're ready to bring that air in, and then just slowly let the air in. Do that twice more, emptying the lungs completely and then filling the lungs very slowly and with ease to capacity. Let your belly swell as you inhale. And on your last inhale, hold the breath for the count of 3. Open the mouth and sigh it out. You can open your eyes now. Bring your hands to your pelvis and locate your hip bones, your hip points. They're these kind of bony ridges that are on the front of the pelvis. If you palpate down, you could find it. Wrap your thumbs around the back of your pelvis, and then we'll do some pelvic tilts. So pressing the low back into the mat and then lifting the low back off the mat. The rear stays on the mat the whole time. So you're just tilting the pelvis away from the face and then towards the face. And your hands are there. Just kind of notice, what does it feel like when it's rocking back and forth? And we'll do that with the breath. Exhale, press low back into mat. Inhale, low back comes away from mat. And then find a neutral pelvis. So neither excessively, front of the pelvis excessively tilting forward with a very sway low back, a very large lumbar spine, or neither too tucked in the tail so that the low back is pressing into the mat, somewhere that feels kind of in the middle. Draw your low belly in strongly. Keep your hands where they are. And we're going to see, can we stabilize the pelvis while we do some leg movements? This is a very gentle core exercise. So we want to keep the pelvis from rocking forward or side to side. I'd like you to slowly just lift the right leg, the right foot off the mat and you mount just a little bit. Just notice what happens to the pelvis and then slowly tap it down. Second side, lifting left. And so if as you lift, you notice that the front of the pelvis wants to tilt towards the legs, do your best to really firm up that low belly, keeping the waist long as you do this. And just we're going to go back and forth, almost like you're just doing like little taps of each foot on the floor, nice and slow. And if you find that you can't keep the pelvis stabilized as you do this, it's rocking quite a bit, make the movements tinier. Maybe the foot just floats like a centimeter off the mat and then you put it down. So better to do it with awareness, with intention in a small way than like a big way and just kind of losing the opportunity to strengthen the deepest parts of the core. We're looking at our pelvic floor, our transversus abdominis, so the deep core that supports our organs, our spine. Keep doing that just a few more times. Okay, and then both feet are on the floor, arms alongside the body. Keep the thighs parallel as we move in and out of bridge pose. We're going to move our arms as we do this. So press the feet down, lift the arms up and back behind you as the hips are in the air. Gaze on the ceiling. And then with the exhale, hips to the mat, arms alongside the body. Just keep moving like that with the breath, warming up the backs of the legs, warming up the hips. And keeping all four corners of the feet pressing into the floor as you do this. It's okay if the hips don't get super high. Feel the strength of the glutes, the mobility of the arms. Nice slow in breath as you reach the arms up and back behind you. Now, next time the arms come up, the hips are up, pause here for a moment. Keep the arms back behind you. And then exhale, just the left arm alongside the body and rear comes to the mat. So that right arm is just hanging out now behind you. Slowly turn your head to the left. Let your right arm get heavy and maybe the elbow will bend, just kind of letting it release to the floor. Couple breaths, breathing into the right side of the neck. And then come back through center. Come back to bridge, both arms back behind you. Gaze at the ceiling. Second side, exhale, hips to the mat, right arm alongside the body. Let the left elbow bend, head turns to the right. Just a nice passive stretch. And then head comes back through center. One more bridge, lift the hips, arms back behind you. With the exhale, release the hips to the mat, arms alongside the body. Take your time coming up to a seated position. Grab your blanket and fold it so your hips are just a little bit elevated. You're going to sit with your right leg extended out to the right, left heel close to the groin, so bending that left knee. As you arrive, begin to reach the right heel away from the groin, peeling the toes back and just sitting nice and tall. So we're inviting a stretch into the inner right thigh, the back of the right hamstring. And take a moment to align your head over your heart, ears over shoulders. And then the heart and head are aligned over the pelvis. Keep flexing your right foot. And then begin to roll the shoulders. And rolling the other direction. And then walk the fingertips back behind you. So your hands are tented, just the fingertips are on the mat. And rolling the shoulders up to the ears, back and down the back so the chest is broad here. Continue to reach through the right heel to get that stretch. And now inhale, you're going to just be where you are, right? Head over heart over pelvis. Exhale, hinge from the hips forward any amount. Keep the chest open, spiraling the inner upper arms forward. And then the inhale brings you back up to beginning position. And we're going to flow with the breath like that. Try to keep your heart open as you hinge from the hips, folding any amount forward. Some of you, maybe you're just folding an inch forward. That's totally fine. And then nice and slowly coming back up, keeping the ears in line with the shoulders. So we're increasing the stretch on the exhale and then just taking a little break on the inhale. And then on the next exhale, pause in the increased stretch position. So the fingertips are back behind you still. Your heart is reaching away from your navel. Think like back bend in this position. Even though you're folding forward, try to have a nice strong spinal extension. Reaching the flesh of the inner right ankle away from the groin. Last breath. And then inhale, come on back up. Let's take a quick side bend to the right. So left hand to the mat, right hand to the mat, left arm comes up overhead. Stay heavy in that left sits bone. Okay, and then bring the left hand to the mat, walking a little further away from the body. Bend that left elbow until the head can lean to the right shoulder. And so I'm bending that bottom elbow and drawing the left scapula onto the back, plugging that left shoulder blade kind of onto the back body. And then with the opposite arm, just start to circle the arm. Let the head be heavy best you can. Nice big circles, kind of lazy circles. And then go big circles the other side. And then pause, side bending to the left. So left elbow's bent, reaching right arm away to the left. Keep this stretch, lots of length in the right side body. And with the exhale, turn your head to look at the mat. And the inhale, slowly turn your head to look forward. Let's do that a few more times. Exhale, head turns to look at the mat. Inhale, head turns to look forward. One more round. Good, and then come on up. Now bend your right knee. You can help it bend and crossing right shin in front of left. Keep the feet flexed and having a little bit of a tighter sukhasana or cross-legged position. Once again, roll the shoulders, sit tall. And then sitting now with a broad chest, bring your hands into loose fists and let's roll the wrists. Going nice and slow. Being sensitive to the parts of the wrists maybe that feel a little achy or a little tight, and going the other direction. Good, and then release the fingers and gently shake out the hands. Now we're going to fold forward and place our hands on the floor in front of us. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Back up here. Okay. Spreading the fingers nice and wide. So we're folding over the crossed shins, inviting a stretch into the outer right hip, but we're also very intentionally placing our hands on the floor. Spread your fingers like a paper fan and walking the hands as far from the body that feels healthy for you in this stretch, straightening the elbows. Press the base of each finger into the floor as you brightly extend the fingers away from the center of the palm. You're not really loading any weight on the hands, but you are working on like extending the fingers brightly and then gently pressing the palms, the finger pads down into the floor. And you're pressing them down, and I'd like you to press them in a way that the center of your palm, the center part, kind of arches up because you're really extending the fingers and you're pressing the base of the fingers into the mat. It's almost like if this was your foot, this is the arch of your foot. Feeling the strong muscles of the hands help support this arch. Gaze at the mat if you're not already and take 2 more breaths here. Good, come on back up. Let's start from the top. Second side, left leg extends, bending right knee, heel coming closer to the groin. And take a look at that left foot, flex it, reach through the left heel. Sitting nice and tall, balancing head over heart over pelvis. Let's do one shoulder loop here. So the shoulder loop is shoulders come forward, update the ears, and then looping them back and releasing them down the back. Now sitting nice and tall, we've got our low belly engaged to help support our broad chest. Slowly drop your chin to your chest. And then rolling the head to the left ear to left shoulder. Chin to chest. Right ear to right shoulder. And then just moving back and forth. Maybe pausing on one side if you notice one side of the neck needs a longer stretch. Let's take a few more breaths. Don't forget about that left foot. Keep it flexed. And then pausing with the chin to the chest and lifting the head. Walk the hands back behind you, tent the fingers, broaden the chest, and with an exhale, folding forward till you increase the stretch in the left hamstring. Keep your chest broad. Inhaling, coming back up. And as you do this, of course, you're reaching through that left heel. Let's do a few rounds of this. And then you're going to pause in the forward fold position, reaching the left heel away from groin, toes peeling back towards kneecap. Broad chest. 1 or 2 more rounds of breath here. Okay, come on up. Okay, let's take a quick side bend to our left, reaching right arm up. Side bending over to the left, heavy in the right sits bone. Take one more deep, refreshing breath. And then come on back up. Right hand to the mat, walking it a little further away from your hips. Bend the right elbow and draw the right shoulder blade down and back. Left arm is going to circle, big circles. Ooh, excuse me. Let's go back to the top here. So the right hand's on the mat. We've got a key ingredient here. Let your head tilt to the right, hanging the head to the right. Take your time, releasing the head to the right. Okay, now we're going to circle the left arm, big circles. Keeping that bottom shoulder away from the ear. Big circles the other direction. Head heavy to the right. And then let's pause in a side bend to our right. Now we're going to do the head turn. So keep the side bend. On an exhale, turn your head to look at the mat. On the inhale, turn the head to look forward. Keep moving with the breath. Shoulders away from ears. Well, right shoulder away from ear. Left shoulder can come a little bit towards the ear. That's okay. Good. And then next inhale, head looks forward. And come on back up. Let's cross the left ankle over, or left shin over right shin. Sitting a little bit in a tighter Sukhasana pose. And then pausing with the hands on the thighs. Just take a moment balancing head over heart, over pelvis, ears over shoulders. On an exhale, drop your chin to your chest. On an inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, coming back up. Rolling the wrists. Both directions. And then shaking the hands. Shake them out. Exhale, fold forward. Over cross shins. And then this time, I'm going to invite you to walk your hand, rotate your palms so that the middle fingers are turning out. Thumbs are pointing forward. We're inviting a stretch into the outer left hip. And for some of you, if you only find a stretch by folding forward deeply, you may have to come out of it for a second while we do this next wrist stretch. So come up enough so that you can start to rotate the palms now so that the middle fingers are pointing towards your legs. Thumbs are pointing away from each other. You're working the heel of the hand, the bottom of the palm towards the floor. If it doesn't make it, that's okay, but do spread your fingers. Do keep a broad chest and upper back so the shoulders are moving away from each other. So hopefully you're feeling a nice stretch in the forearms here. Some of you might find bending the elbows helps make the stretch a little bit more intense or a little less intense, kind of fitting it more to your body. Take one more round of breath. And then rotating the palms forward, the fingertips forward, and then walk your hands and fold over the legs and take your stretch in the outer left hip for the next 2 to 3 breaths. Good, inhale, come on up. Come on up to a standing position. Have your block in hand and your strap nearby just in case you need it. Once you come into a standing position, take your block on its thinnest setting and place it between the lower thighs, so just above the knees. Take a look at your toes and point the toes so that the toes and the kneecaps are generally pointing the same direction forward. And bring your hands to your hips. Just like we did at the beginning of class, where we drew our low belly in and maintained a neutral pelvis, I'd like you to do that now. So find that neutral pelvis, draw the low belly in, and then gently start to squeeze the block. Just a very gentle, just gently kind of just hugging it with the thighs, lower thighs. If you don't have a block, like a travel mug might be helpful, maybe a water bottle. And then from this strong engagement, lifting the heart vertically away from the navel and release the arms down alongside the body. I'd like you to reach your right arm back behind you and grab a hold of your left arm. Okay, so for some of you, you might be able to grab the upper arm or lower arm. If this isn't accessible, that's where your strap would come in handy. You'd grab the strap with the right hand and you'd lasso the left arm. And we're doing this so that we can broaden the chest and open and lengthen the shoulders away from the ears. Keep holding your block. And now I'd like you to turn your head to the right. So head turns to the right. Take a few breaths here, balancing the head over the heart, over the pelvis, over the feet. Good, and then look forward and let's grab a hold of opposite arm. So now you're gonna grab left arm, left hand grabs right arm. And head turns to the left. So I'm turning my head away from my straightened arm. Moving that right shoulder blade back in space, the right shoulder back in space, gently. Take one more breath. And then head turns back through center, release the arms. You can release the block and roll the shoulders. Okay, let's do a little bit of balancing. We're gonna come into Vrikshasana or tree pose. So first, actually, let's bring the palms together in Anjaneya Mudra. So fingers are gonna be brightly spread and extending. Standing nice and tall. Imagine you still are holding that block between the thighs. Almost you're gonna try to spiral your inner thighs behind you slightly without moving the feet. Low belly's pulling in, and now bringing your gaze to rest on something eye level, shifting the weight into your right foot as you bend the left knee. Now I'm going to add some arm stuff here, so I encourage you just to try left heel on ankle, left toes on the floor. If you notice that balance is a challenge for you, I'm going to demo that, but you're always welcome to come into whatever variation you like. Feel your breath. And then on the next inhale, open your arms wide like a cactus or a goalpost. And then exhale, extend your arms away from you like two stop sign palms, like two palms stop, peeling the fingertips back towards the shoulders, right? Fingers are brightly spread. Feel the stretch in the arms. Feel your breath.
reaching through the heel of your hand. One more breath. And then release, mountain pose. Rolling the wrists, other direction, and shaking the hands. Second side, palms together, shifting the weight to your left foot. Bring your gaze to something eye level. Low belly's pulling in, and you're really the same kind of muscles we were using to squeeze that block. We want to really squeeze that right foot to the left ankle or whatever the left leg is, what part you're on. And then taking an inhale, opening the arms wide. And now this time I want you to extend your arms left and right, but have your fingertips pointing down. So extending the arms left and right, but rotating the palms so now that the fingertips are pointing straight down. Fan the fingers wide. I've got my thumbs pointing behind me. The pinky edge of my hands are facing the same direction I'm looking. Middle finger is trying to reach down. Reach, reach, reach. Broad chest, feeling the breath. Feeling the strength of this pose. Let's take 1 or 2 more rounds of breath here. With an exhale, release mountain pose. Roll the shoulders. And shake out the hands. Okay. Once again, just check your feet, toes, knees pointing forward. Imagine you've got a little block between the thighs. You're rotating your inner thighs towards the floor, the wall behind you, low belly in. And I'd like you to bring your hand, bend your elbows so that your hands are on your shoulders. We're gonna make big circles with our elbows. So circles go down, forward together, and then up, and then back and down. For some of you, maybe the elbows don't come together. That's okay. You're just working that direction. As the elbows go back, see if you can get the backs of your hands to touch, or the wrists, and then back and down. Of course, if that doesn't happen, no problem. That's the direction you're going. Nice and slow circles. You want to wring out any tension in the shoulders. Okay, and then other direction. So the elbows go back and up. This can be a core exercise if you draw your low belly in. Keep moving. Good, and then on the next inhale, reach the arms up, extend them high, high, high. And then exhale, fold forward, take a dive. I encourage you to have your fingertips rest on a block. And feel into it once you get down here. We're going to be here for a few rounds of breath. If you want to have your feet a little wider, a little closer together, what would give you a really nice stretch in the backs of the legs right now? Maybe the knees are bent quite a bit. That feels nice and releasing the low back. Please do it. And gazing between the knees, let the crown of the head get heavy to the floor. Nice, easy, slow breath. Now, if a forward fold for you is like super intense already, you're welcome to skip this next wrist stretch and you just want to focus on the forward fold, please do. If you're going to have your hands on a block, or some of you may not need it, but I encourage you to start with the block. You're going to bring the backs of your hands to the block very gently, not a lot of weight, not a lot of weight. You're just kind of using the block to help get a nice bend in the wrists, right? So my thumbs are touching. The pinky edges of my fingers are facing out, and my palms are facing me. I am not putting any weight in the backs of my hands. I'm just helping. It's almost like they're just resting there.
take about 2 or 3 more breaths wherever you are. And then go ahead and release, bringing the palms, the fans back to the block or the floor. Bend the knees and slowly roll up. Head's the last thing to come up. Mountain pose. Hands to loose fists, gently roll the wrists. And we're rolling them in circles that are big enough where you're like, I'm really reaching kind of the capacity of my range of motion, but doing it very compassionately. If it's very tender, if it's uncomfortable, not going so deep into those wrist rolls. Let's go the other direction if you haven't already. Good, and then shake the hands out. Extend your right arm forward and grab a hold of your right index finger and pull it towards the back, the outer forearm. And then the middle finger. And then the ring. Pinky. Reach behind that hand and grab a hold of the thumb and start to pull the thumb towards the outer forearm. I find this feels so nice on the right side. I feel like the whole scrolling finger, the thumb gets so tender. So I hope that you are enjoying it too. And then release, shake out that right hand. Let's do the second side. Extending the left palm forward, fingers down. Start with the index. Middle. Ring. Pinky. Reach behind that hand, grab a hold of the thumb, and gently pulling the thumb to the outer elbow, outer forearm. And release, shake out the hands. Let's come over to our chair, and you're going to sit side saddle on your chair, knees pointing to the left. Have your strap nearby just in case you need it. Step your right foot back, coming into a lunge. And just step it actually back just a little bit so you're not in full extension of that. You're not feeling a deep quad stretch just yet, the top of the right thigh. And bring your hands to your pelvis and find a neutral level pelvis. And now from here, you might find that having a neutral pelvis, actually now you do have a stretch in the front of the right thigh. You could just stay here and maybe the foot's not that far. You're always welcome to walk a little further back, holding onto the back of the chair with the left hand. And then with the next inhale, reach your right arm up overhead. Press your feet into the planet. So the left foot is active, the left leg is active, pressing down. So just because the chair is supporting the bulk of our body doesn't mean we can't push the legs into the floor, push the feet into the floor. Low belly's pulling in and up. One more round of breath here. Strong active glutes. And then let's take it into a twist. Turning to the left, the belly and heart turn to the left. Hold on to the back of the chair. Let me see if I can demo this. Right, so I'm holding onto the back of the chair. Low belly's in, neutral level pelvis. One more round of breath, maybe turning your head to the left if that feels okay. And then untwisting and sitting forward on your chair. Take your feet wide so that all the corners of the feet can press into the mat.
Roll the shoulders, both directions. Bring the palms together in front of your heart. Spread your fingers brightly so they're spread really, really far like a paper fan. And keeping the entire palm of your hands together, maybe start lifting the elbows so that they're in line with the wrists. Keep your chest open. Ears over shoulders. One more breath. Good. Shake out the hands. Sit side saddle to your right. Second side. Stepping left foot back a little bit. Find that neutral level pelvis. Low belly in to support it. Potentially, maybe you go back a little further with that back foot if you need it. Ensure that the front foot can really press into the floor. And on an inhale, lift the left arm up overhead. Reaching. Feet go down, arm goes up. Feel your breath. Keeping the head over heart. Let's move it into a twist. So left hand comes to the back of the chair, right hand's on the back of the chair. Pressing feet down, rotating heart and belly to the right. Maybe head moves a little to the right. Doesn't have to though. Feel into it, what feels healthy. Couple breaths. On the next inhale, untwist, sit forward in your chair. With the feet and thighs together. Scoot back in your chair a little bit. You don't have to lean completely back into the back of the chair, but sit back so you feel fully supported by the chair. Cross your right thigh over your left tightly. So we're going to do a variation of eagle. You're welcome to hook the top foot around the back calf if that feels like a good fit for you. But inhale, reach your arms forward, and then cross your left arm over right. Bend your bottom elbow. I'd like you to try to extend your shoulders away from each other. So they're moving east and west away from your heart. And then extend your head away from your heart as well. Please stay here. Or if you'd like to come into full eagle arms, bring the backs of the hands together. I'll show you the side. So I'm squeezing my elbows together. Maybe lifting the elbows a little bit higher. Ears are over shoulders, chin slightly towards throat as you reach the back of the neck towards the sky, the back of the head. One more breath. Exhale, release. Second side. Crossing left thigh tightly over right, squeezing those thighs together. Extend your arms forward. Bring your right arm over left. Bend your bottom elbow. Reaching shoulders away from each other. Feel your breath. Broad chest, broad upper back. So the shoulder blades can they're coming away from each other, but the chest is remaining broad at the same time. If you'd like to come into full eagle arms, please do. Squeezing the elbows together. And just a reminder, right? So we're not all about like what is the full expression or a bigger expression of the pose. Rather, what is the most effective way to practice this, right? So maybe you're just doing this PE stretch because that's what is going to help you keep a broad chest and keep breathing. Speaking of breathing, let's take a couple more breaths here. Squeezing thighs. On your next exhale, release, untangle. Sitting forward in your chair, palms on thighs, sit tall, close your eyes. Feel your breath. Okay, so you can open your eyes up, and in a moment we're going to come down towards the floor. Just a couple things we're going to do before we come into a relaxation pose. But to prepare for it, for a relaxation pose, I'd like you to take your towel or blanket and bring it into a roll. Like my roll is about maybe 3 inches thick once compressed. So something like that. You're going to bring it off to the side of the mat. And then you can remove your chair. We're done with it for now. And we're going to meet on our bellies. So coming face down on the mat. Tops of the feet to the floor. And extend your arms forward so that they're off the mat, off the top edge of the mat. Then just pause here for a round of breath. Now I'd like you to tuck your toes and tent your fingers. So now your hands are like spiders. The palms are off the floor, but just the fingers are on the floor. Fire up your back body as you begin to just lift the knees. Again, toes are tucked. And then lift your head, straightening elbows. So it's like you're doing locust pose. This is like a back bend, but you're pressing fingers down. You're pressing balls of the feet down to fire up the body. Lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. Gazing forward. Take one more round of breath. And then release to the mat, arms alongside the body. Untuck the toes. Thighs together. Let's just do a traditional locust here. So inhale, lifting the legs, shoulders, head. Have your palms facing the floor. Thumbs are pointing away from you. As you draw shoulder blades onto the back, stay here for a few rounds of breath. Nice and even engagement in the glutes, in the upper back, lengthening the tailbone towards the heels. Backs of the legs are working here. Feel the slow, steady inhale and exhale. With your next exhale, release to the mat. Soften your body completely to the floor. Okay, go ahead and flip on over onto your back. Place the feet on the mat. Bending right knee into chest, lasso right foot with your strap. So grab a hold of that strap. And then extend the heel towards the ceiling. Let's stretch out the back of the right leg a little further. And not forcing the stretch, just see if you can relax into the stretch. Let your belly soften. Your pelvis relax. Take one more breath here. And release. Let's do the second side. Lassoing the left foot. You can bend your left knee a little bit here if you need. That's okay. Relaxing into this stretch. Soften your hands. So it's almost like just by relaxing, you're going deeper. There's no need to pull on the strap, just letting go. Letting go of needing anything to be any way other than what it is. Okay, then release the left foot and grab your rolled up blanket or towel. You're going to slide that blanket underneath your neck. So the back of the head is going to rest on the floor, but you're going to help support the curve of the back of the neck with this roll. So you may need to make it a little thicker or a little less thick so that back of the head can touch down. If this isn't pleasurable, it's meant to be pleasurable and lengthening. If it's not, then please don't worry about it. Find a Shavasana that works for you. Once you've got that back of the neck support, you're going to extend the legs on the mat. We're going to do one more wrist circle just briefly, both directions. And then shaking the hands out. Bend the elbows and walk the elbows towards the ribs, press them down into the mat and help lift the chest a little bit and slide the shoulder blades underneath you. So they're sliding together and down the back. And then once they're there, they're flat underneath the body. Release the weight of your upper back and lower back down to the mat and release the arms. So back the hands to the mat or either side of the mat. And just scanning from the head to the toes to the fingertips, making any movements or adjustments to this posture so you can give yourself complete permission to relax and let go. Making a point of completely relaxing the face, maybe wiggling the face a little bit, stretching it out, and then letting it go, relaxing the butt, the shoulders, the chest, the belly, the feet, the hands. Shavasana. Maybe you can stay longer. Please do. If you need to move on with the rest of your day, wiggle your fingers and toes. And moving the body a little bit more until you're ready for a morning stretch. And very mindfully drawing the knees into the chest. Rolling to one side. And using the arms to come on up to a comfortable seat of your choice. We'll meet with our palms together. And just feeling into your experience. If you're experiencing any pleasurable sensations, I invite you to think of someone you'd like to send this pleasure to. May they feel good in their body, heart, mind. See them clearly, and we'll collect this goodness on the inhale and we'll send it out with the exhale. As you're ready, breathe in. Send it out. See them wherever they are, feeling good. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste.